All right, boys and girls, here's our portrait of Frida Kahlo that we've been talking about, the fine artist. And though she did not go to art school, she did study art with some fine artists, some artists who were trained in an art school. And that's where she got her training and learned from them how to paint. And if you were going to go to art school, one of the things you might learn is how to do portraiture, or how to do portraits or pictures of people. This one happens to be a self-portrait, but you would learn this, use the same techniques. So let's pretend we are in a fancy art school and we are going to learn portraiture. So I'm going to grab some paper here, and we're going to start out with our paper, what we call shower or portrait view. That's the paper is straight up and down. And I have a pencil. This happens to be one of those, I guess it's a mechanical pencil. I really like these. And I'm going to make it just a little bit longer. There you go. And the eraser is built in. And we will need an eraser for this, I promise. All right, so what we're going to do is figure out where on our paper we want to draw our portrait. And as we talked about, Frida Kahlo often put her pets in her pictures because they meant so much to her. So I would like for you to add something to your portrait. So in planning that, we're going to maybe put your face a little bit off center. So if this were the center, I'm going to move my fingers over just about like that. So I'm going to put my fingers just like this, and that's the size of the head that I'm going to draw right there. And over here I'll have some room to put my puppy, Brooke C. Mays, that you met in the very first video. So I'm going to put a dot right at the top of my finger and a dot right underneath my thumb. And those are my two dots and what I'm going to aim for. Now the next thing we're going to draw is that egg shape. You know, this is the forehead up here that's more roundy, but as it comes down a little more narrow like an egg. So I'm just going to take my pencil. I often use my hand like a compass. So I put the side of my hand down and I just kind of roll it back and forth. I'm going to do this very lightly. You may or not be able to see it, but I'm just going to go back and forth until I sort of get the shape that I want. It's looking pretty good right there, maybe a little bit wider on the sides. And now I'm going to bring it down so it's more like, gets a little bit narrow. Oop, that's not good. Just keep going very lightly. I'm hardly touching the paper at all. I hope you can see what I'm drawing, but around and around and around. Now, to me, that's looking pretty good. That's about what I'm looking for on my egg shape. So I'm going to go back and not going to darken up the very top of the head because that's where the hat or the hair or the flowers, all that kind of stuff goes. But starting from about here, I'm going to darken it up and make a definite line that I'm going to use for my portrait. Go straight across on the other side. And I'm going to pretend those other lines aren't there. Okay? It's a little... if I wasn't in such a hurry, I'd probably straighten that up just a tiny tad, but maybe I can cover it up with the clothes or something. All right, so that's my U shape right there. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is find the exact center of this egg. And so I'm going to put my thumb back on the dot and finger, and then I'm going to squeeze them together. And where I squeeze them together, that's the center, or very close to it anyway. So just squeeze them together. And I'm going to put a little dot right there. And that looks like it's pretty much the center. Maybe a little high, but that's all right. All right. And so that is going to be where the top of the nose is. Okay. Your forehead's up here and your nose is going to be down here. All right. Next thing we're going to do is do the same thing from the dot from the center to the edge and squeeze. And then right there, it's going to be the center of one eye. That little black dot, that pupil that allows light to get into your eye, and squeeze right there. And there's the second one. Okay, so halfway between this dot and this dot, I'm going to draw the top of my football eye. So I'm just going to put my pencil down there and just very lightly, and then halfway between there and there, I'm going to stop it. Now I'm going to try to draw that same thing on this side, halfway between that football eye. Do it very lightly. And when it looks about the way I want it to look, then I'll go back and darken it up. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm going to draw the underneath of the eyes and the underneath of the eyes. Okay, so you're going to have just a little bit of distance between here and here, but between these 2 points, it should be almost the same size as the eye. My eyes are a little bit big, but in this picture, but it should be, you should be able to fit another eyeball right between your 2 eyeballs. Okay, all right, and we can go ahead and finish up those eyes. I'm going to add the iris of the eye right there. The iris of the eye, and you're going to be able to add a lot more details than I'm going to put in. I'm just putting in the basic stuff. But you'll be able to do all the rest. Okay, the next thing we're going to find is the tip of the nose. So I'm going to put my finger here and give it a squeeze that centers it up halfway down, and that's going to be the tip of the nose. And as we've talked about before, your eyebrow, that brow bone, comes around and just goes right into your nose. I'm going to put a real light line right there. That's where my eyebrows are going to go. And I'm going to bring the side of the nose down into the tip of the nose, and it's going to be just a curve right there. And I think I'm going to stop my nose right there. A lot of people go all the way back up and hook that in, but I pretend that this is the light side and this is the shadow side. So the light shining here, you wouldn't be able to, you barely be able to see the difference between your nose and your face right there. Now the shadow is casting right here, and that's why you can see that more definite right there. So the other thing I want to add, it's got the tip of the nose. We have the nostrils right here. So I'm just going to bring them in, not too far out, just parentheses right there. And you can even go in there and draw the black holes a little bit if you want to in there. Okay, it's up to you. And I'll go ahead and put the other eye, the line where the eyebrow is going to go right there. All right, the next thing that we're going to add is the mouth. So once again, finger here and here, squeeze, and that is the center of the mouth, right? And so that is the line between the upper lip and the lower lip. And so I'm just going to draw a line. The corners of your mouth will line up with your face, but they will either kind of be above the line or below the line, depending on whether you're smiling or frowning. So I'm just going to put a little line, just to kind of give me a little dot, give me a little place to shoot from. And all I'm going to do is add a little bit of a smile, not a real big smile, but you can add any kind of, or frown or whatever. If you really get into this, you could do an open mouth a little bit if you want to try that too. Okay, now that's just the line that separates the upper lip and the lower lip. Now we're going to add the upper lip, and I'm going to put in that little thing. And every time I talk about this, there must be a name for it. The way that little U shape right over your lip, and I'm just going to bring it down to the corners. And that is the upper lip. And some people have very thin lips, and maybe it's closer to the line. Maybe other people have thicker lips, so it would be upper a little higher. I'm going to put in the lower lip here. This person's got some luscious lips here, okay? And I didn't connect it right there because right there at the corners of your mouth, near the corners of your mouth just sort of blends in with your face. So usually you can't see where it's attached, but that's how I usually do it. Okay, let's go back and add the ears. So I'm gonna mark a spot right lined up with the nose right here and lined up with this eye right here. And that's the space where the ears go. Right here and right here. And as you know, ears stick out in different degrees, but most of the time they're kind of almost laying against your head, but not quite, a little bit sticks out. So that's what, when you see a head from this direction, you're gonna only just see a little bit of the ear, maybe a little more of the top, and then it's gonna come a little bit of the bottom, okay? So put a little bit, and some people you can see more of it than that. Okay, it just depends on how much your ears lay against your head. All right, so I'm gonna mark a spot right here. I bet you can guess what this is gonna be. Right here and right here, right lined up underneath the eyes. And of course, you guessed it, that's where the neck is. Make sure you make it a little shorter than you think. That's a common rookie mistake, because actually your chin covers some of your neck. So you can't see all of your neck, okay? And then you can add some kind of collar if you want to. I think since this is gonna be a portrait of a lady, maybe in traditional Mexican dress, I'm gonna add a nice big ruffle right there on her collar, but you can do any kind of collar that you want. And then I'm gonna bring the shoulders out just a little bit more and down, just like that, and out and down. Okay, and that's the rest of her dress. Now, she definitely needs some hair. I'm gonna lighten up this line a little bit right here. Just remember that hats, hair, all of that kind of stuff, it goes down onto your head. Not floating above your head up here, but down onto your head. And most of your top of your head is covered by your hair. This lady is gonna have some flowers in her hair, because I just love that. So I'm gonna draw a big flower right here. Maybe here's the center, it's kind of like that, and it's got the petals coming out like that. Maybe even add a little bit. And I always draw the flowers in her hair first and then draw the hair around it. And let's say there's another one right here. It's kind of peeking out behind that one. I'm gonna add maybe more of this kind of flower right here, around here. And a little bit of something there. Another one of those over here. Kind of peeking out again. I don't know what kind of flower that would be, but it sort of looks like a flower. And maybe a few leaves sticking out here, right on the end. Now, you do not have to do this. You can make your person any way you want to. I just love flowers and girls with flowers in their hair. I think it's so sweet. All right, now we're ready to draw the hair. So I'm just gonna bring the part in her hair, maybe, it could be right down the middle to the side. I'm gonna put it to the side a little bit. This is a shorter side. I'm gonna bring it down and back up. And here's her hair. This other side of the part, we'll just bring it down. Maybe there's a few little strays right there, and back up. And this person has sort of a bun in her hair, and it's kind of a bun, and it just kind of sticks out a little bit right here and on the other side. But that's just kind of a hairdo I made up. You can do any kind of hairdo that you want. All right, now I'm going to take this one away, and I have one that I completed earlier to show you how I went back and I finished this one up and added lots and lots of flowers in her hair and leaves and all kinds of things. I used my pencil to make some of the things darker that I wanted to stand out, like the hair, and add little details to that. You could add any kind of little details you want. And then also I added Brooksy Mays, the wonder dog, and who's my buddy while I'm staying at home. And maybe you don't want a girl with flowers in her hair. Maybe you'd rather have somebody that looks a little more like Diego Rivera, Frida's husband. So you can draw man, woman, whatever you'd like, and that's what you would learn about portraits if you went to a fancy art school. All right, good luck. I can't wait to see what you draw.